and welcome to Dear Katie, the podcast that amplifies courageous voices and real stories of resilience, healing, and hope after trauma. Inspired by the many letters Katie has received over the last 20 years, each week she interviews survivors, healers, and experts to honor their stories and explore the many paths to healing and hope. Before we begin, please know, many episodes of Dear Katie cover sensitive topics related to sexual violence, trauma, and recovery. Listen with care and take the space you need to take care of yourself. Your well-being is what matters most. Now, let's join Katie and today's guest for a conversation that matters.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Dear Katie podcast. This is Katie Koestner, your host, and I am just delighted to continue on the journey with all of you as survivors and supporters. Every single episode, I think, is one more reason to get out that journal, take some notes, and find new ways to support someone you care about, or hear from another survivor about what has helped them most to, work their way into a stronger place, oftentimes a really powerful place. So today's going to be no different. You all are going to adore Marina. So let me just read what Marina wrote about herself. Marina Lacerda is a girl, she says, just a girl from Brazil. She survived abuse and is now determined to make a change. She uses her voice to help other women break their silence because she knows how powerful speaking out can be. Her hope is that by sharing her own story, she will inspire others to stand tall and build a future where no one stays silent ever again. So, Marina, so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, so exciting. So a lot of people have no idea how powerful you are, but let's start at the beginning and we'll get to all the brilliant stuff as we go. So you were born in Brazil?
Yes, I was born in Brazil, Belo Horizonte.
Okay. Is that I know Brazil's
it's so big, Brazil, right?
It's bigger than Americans think, I think.
It is. It is the biggest. You're right. It is the biggest country in South America, and it's also the only country that we speak Portuguese. Everyone else speaks Spanish.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I know. The only thing I know, Marina, is we had Take Back Night had a conference at Columbia University, and there was this incredible woman from Brazil who helped me. She was here just for a short period, like a year, and she and I just practically planned the whole conference ourselves. And she was just incredible. So I have such good memories of our work together. So I'm delighted to learn. So growing up in Brazil, what was it like? I think a lot of Americans just have vague ideas from movies probably, but share what you feel comfortable talking about.
I think a lot of Americans just see a lot of the slum part, like the slums and the beach, that's all they kind of know about Brazil, right? And then we like pão de queijo, which is like cheese bread. But growing up in Brazil was really, really good. I was always surrounded. And that's one thing about Brazilians, you're always around family. Sundays were always at my grandmother's house. Everybody went there. It was you had no excuse. You had to have, in Brazil, we have early dinner, which we call it 12 o'clock lunch. And, everyone has their biggest meal at that point. It's not like a dinner, like here, how we have dinner at 7 o'clock.
Right.
We have our dinner at 12 o'clock there. And, I was always around uncles, aunts. My grandmother had 7 kids. So it was a big family. And my father wasn't around as much because he had kids with 2 other women, so he wasn't around. Yeah. And my mom was the third woman, and I think it was the only one that he actually got married to. So he wasn't around. He was always in Rio de Janeiro. He was always coming back and forth, but then him and my mom separated, and I must have been so young because I don't even remember it. But at one point, the thing about Brazil, it's there's no middle class. We have a middle class still here in America, depending where you are. You're either, you're poor or you're rich. That's how Brazil works. And if you are a middle class, that's because your family has a home base and they're helping you out. But it's very hard in Brazil to be middle class and still survive and still be able to go out to have dinner in restaurants. It doesn't work like that in Brazil. So my mom really wanted for us, me and her, to have a better life. So she decided to come to New York, and she left when I was 7. And I actually went to New York with my uncle. He brought me to New York, at 8 years old. And I got to New York. My first stop was at Astoria Park. And me and my
Oh, wow.
mom, yeah, me and my mom had a nice little talk about America. And I arrived America 5th of July. So it's something that I could never forget because 4th of July is America's birthday, right? So
Mhm.
she's like, first thing she told me, she's like, you came on such a special day. 4th of July was yesterday. And I was just so amazed and so honored to be in America. And most important, I just wanted to be next to my mom, no matter if she was in Germany or Japan. I just wanted to be with my mom. I really had a really close relationship with my mom. My mom had met her boyfriend at the time, and everything was fine in the beginning. And we had lived in a studio on Steinway Street in Astoria. My mom was working nights. My stepfather had this weird schedule where he would come in and out because he was driving an illegal car and he would pick people up from the airport. So it'd be like kind of, people would tell him like, hey, pick this person up, or he would just go there and kind of, get people on his own. And he would come in and out of the house all the time because he just didn't have that schedule. It was whenever he wanted, whenever planes were landing, he would go to the airport. And soon enough, my stepfather would come home and he would lay me on his lap. My head would be on his lap, and he would cover my face and he would turn on the TV. Not aware of what was going on, and obviously being 8 years old and being very curious, as adults we are curious too. I would peek under the cover that he would put over my head, and I didn't know what was going on in the TV. But then obviously, growing older, I realized it was porn.
Mm.
And soon enough, he started to really reenact whatever was happening in the porn. He would do it to me, and it started at 8 years old. And I wasn't aware that anything bad was happening. I don't think any 8-year-old kind of knows anything, when it comes to
Mhm.
sexual abuse. I mean, hopefully people are changing more now and talking to their kids about it. And the abuse went on for a very long time. My mom ended up getting pregnant by my stepfather. We ended up moving to a bigger apartment, which was a 4 bedroom. And I must have been about 10 and a half. My sister was in the crib. My stepfather and I were in the bedroom. And he was tossing me around and kind of like sexually playing with me. My mother walked in and he
Mm.
threw me off the bed. And I was so confused, like why I got thrown off the bed. So my mom took him to the other room and they were screaming and fighting. And, I didn't understand what was going on. And she came in the room. He left the house. She came in the room and she was like, listen, I just want you to understand, like, this shouldn't be happening. This will never happen again. She kind of broke it down to me. Didn't ask me, like, what happened, but just
Mm.
made an assumption that something wrong was happening and it wasn't going to happen again. So from there on, I understood that this was wrong. Like, he shouldn't be doing this to me. But he still continued to do it. And it went
Oh,
on for so long. It was like such a bad cycle where he would do it. I would tell her, he would stop, he would do it again. I would tell her.
oh
And then he
gosh,
started,
right?
I
That's
know, and
horrible.
then he started to physically abuse me when I started to tell my mom that he was sexually abusing me. So then I was like, what the hell should I do at this point? Because like I'm just 10 and a half, turning 11, going through all this. My mom at times would leave to go to the supermarket or like make something up, and that would confuse me because she knew that he was still doing this, and it would just confuse me. I would sit at the window. It would be a little ledge on this apartment that we had, and I would wait for her by the window, just like praying that he would not bother me. And I think it was like, I don't know, it was one of my worst experiences, I could say. And then, and so we had 4 bedrooms. Two of the bedrooms, one of them, my mom and my stepfather and my little sister at the time was in the crib still. They would share that room, and I would have a bedroom to myself, and the other 2 bedrooms were rented. This young lady who lived with us was getting abused by my stepfather. I did not know it. I was at Burger King after school, and she met me at because she knew I was always there. I was either an after school program, or I was in my ballet or a jazz tap, or I was doing something because I never wanted to be home.
Hmm.
And she came to me at Burger King and she tapped me on my shoulder and she said, hey, listen, I know what's going on with you and your stepfather. And I just want to tell you, he's doing the same thing to me. And I think we
Oh,
should go to the police.
wow, that's
I
amazing.
know. I know. I was 12 years old and I was like, yes. let's
Oh,
go.
so brave. That's so great.
Yeah. Well, because I was waiting for my mom, and at that point, my mom's relationship and I were really at its like worst because I was like cursing at my mom at 11 years old, like asking her, like, what is going on here? Like,
Mhm.
why are you? And I feel like an 11-year-old should never curse at their mom, but I was so
I think this is
upset.
an exception, Marina.
Yeah, I was so upset and so confused. Like, why weren't we going to the police? Like, why was this still happening if this was wrong? And her only answer would be like, well, we're immigrants and I don't know if I'm going to be able to take care of you and your sister. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a job. And it was just always an excuse. And then sometimes she would say she would leave. I mean, and they have fought in front of me, and we have slept in the living room so she wouldn't sleep with him. And they've done things in front of me, like together, like they've had sex when I was like on the floor sleeping. And I just never understood like what was my mom's problem. Like, I don't know if it was some sort of jealousy. I don't know if she was trying to protect me and it was also a victim. It was just very confusing for me growing up and not understanding why she never took action. So we went to the police. When I got to the police, they scared me. They questioned me without my mom. I lied to them. I told them my mom didn't know. I lied to them. I told them that my stepfather only had been sexually abusing me for 2 years and he only touched me in certain parts because I got scared because they kept telling me that I was lying because I was jealous of my younger sister being born and that he was going to do hard time and just getting me so like anxious and nervous about what I was going to say. So I started to minimize my abuse. And when my mother came, her first question to me was, what did you tell them? And, we were in the room and I told her what I said. And right there and then I could see her attitude totally shift. And, they were like, we're going to go and we're going to arrest your stepfather. And they did. And when we came back home, his stuff was all thrown in the living room. And she was crying. She was like so upset. And me, I'm a child. I'm 12 years old. I'm like, finally, I get to sleep at night where I don't have to worry about this man coming into my room. I'm finally at peace thinking like, this is going to be a whole new life for me. And it really became a little bit worse because my mom started to blame me for the fact that my stepfather went to jail, why we didn't have money in the house, why didn't we have kind of like the type of food, why I wasn't doing my ballet, my jazz tap classes after school anymore because they were private, they were, from a dance class, from a dance school. Like if I wanted something, no, we don't have money because you wanted to go to the police and, your stepfather, just so many things just building up and blaming me for it. And at that time, I was already working in a real estate office. I would work after school to make a little money. And it was on Broadway. It was called Capital Realty. I think it's still there, actually. And so I would work there and I would get that money and I would keep it for myself. But when my mom was going through all that, I was giving her my money. But it wasn't enough. So she got a catering job in Bedford Avenue in Brooklyn. And we would work there. But however, Jews don't get married all the time. There's like certain times where they do get married. And these are, these are Hasidic Jews, they're called in New York, where they do follow their religion very seriously. So they would really only get married at a certain time. So I would go to those parties. I would help my mom out. I would work. I was like 13 and a half, working until like nighttime, waking up, going to work after school, going to this real estate office. And whenever the parties would happen, I would go with her and we would make like $6.75. I think at one point it jumped to $7.25. Yeah. I would carry trays with matzo ball, like soup, and like 8 of them. And I would like look at the women and how nice they were dressed. And I used to be like, oh my God, it must be. I used to look at these young girls that were like my age. And I used to be like, wow, it must be so nice to just like have like a normal life.
Yeah.
And then everybody knew about my abuse, especially like the Brazilian community. But everybody knew, like friends that had come over when my stepfather was in the house, they would come over and he would abuse them. He would touch them and they would go home and tell their parents. So then they no longer would come to my house. But everybody knew.
Oh my God.
Everybody knew. My neighbor downstairs knew. My neighbor across the street knew. All my friends' parents knew. Nobody said anything. So this Brazilian girl comes up to me, which I was already friends with her. And she said, hey, listen, I know you're struggling. I know you're going through a lot. I have somebody who can help you out, and like you can make $300 just like giving him a massage. And I was like, but I don't even know how to like give massages. Like I don't know that, you know. And she was like, well, don't worry, he's really cool, he's really rich, he has connections, he just likes a young girl giving him a massage. And you know, honestly, at the time, being this 14-year-old who just wanted validation back again from her mom and just wanting her to reconnect with, I wanted to reconnect with my mom. My mom always used to tell me, like, you'll never be nothing in America, you'll just be a better version of me. And that always killed me. That always wanted to make me strive to make her proud and see like, hey, listen, I'm not just a better version of you. Like, I'm going to become way better than that, and I'm going to succeed, and I'm going to do all the right things. So she says to me, you know, that's the only thing. And she's like, listen, the only other thing is you have to take off your shirt. It's just like having a bikini on. And I was like, doesn't seem that bad. My stepfather has done much worse to me. And I get to make $300 for half an hour. So we go there together. We get to Jeffrey Epstein's door, and it's, you know, this huge building that doesn't even look like a mansion. It just looks like a huge building, like, right, like it looks like it's like a building with offices, and like it just doesn't look like a mansion, because as a kid you imagine a mansion completely different. And you know, these big doors and the JE in the front, and I was like, wow, like this is insane. And ringing the doorbell, having the maid open the door, going in and going into his office, into his waiting room, and seeing like just Bill Clinton, you know, at the time, and then
God,
kind of
crazy.
venturing on and seeing like how important this person is, because he had so many pictures with all these prominent people, President Trump, all these presidents from, you know, different countries, and you know, Saudi Arabia, and all these things. And I was like, wow, like as a 14-year-old, I couldn't grasp like how important this person was, but I knew he was. And then the maid got us and brought us to the elevator, which then we went to the third floor. The third floor opens. There's this hallway full of different sketches with women that are naked. They're like black and white sketches. And I don't know anything. I'm just thinking this is rich people stuff. You know, there's an elevator in this mansion. Like, this is completely out of like this world for me, you know? We come in, there's a massage table on the middle of the room. He has a whole bureau full of lotions, which had so many Victoria's Secret lotions. And at the time, like, you know, Victoria's Secret lotions were like so expensive. It was just out of my league to even.
You're right, Marina. I forgot, like one bottle was like $30. I'm like, and that was a lot of money. Like, even I back then, that was a ton of money for like a little thing. Yeah, you're so right. I totally forgot that.
I didn't, because I was so like, oh my God, like I can't believe he has Victoria's Secret lotion.
Victoria's Secret was like the thing. Like,
it was the thing.
Back then, it was like the gold standard of everything sexy and hot. Like,
and smelly, and smells too.
And they like, their whole store was set up like, you just walked in there and you're like, I am going to be gorgeous when I walk out.
So expensive.
Remember, they had
so
like
expensive.
In the stores, they had ladies who were just there to like help you, as if it was like Neiman Marcus. But you're so right. I totally forgot about that. That was like,
I didn't.
No, you're living it. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. I had one question.
Okay.
Before you keep going, I had one question. Oh my God, I can even imagine being 14, because that would be like you're in like 7th grade, 8th grade, maybe.
No, 14, I was jumping into 9th grade.
Oh, 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So freshman year of high school, that's like it's so young, but you're like kind of more sophisticated, because like just a couple of years ago, you were, you know, you didn't have your period yet. Right?
I didn't get my period until the beginning of 14, actually.
Okay.
I got it pretty late.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there's all this stuff happening, and
it took a long time for me to get it.
Yeah, when you went in and you were like, I can't even imagine. I can imagine like the smell and the look, and you must have really tall ceilings. Like,
we had clouds on his ceiling. I mean, are we talking about Victoria's Secret, or are we talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
No, well, all of it. Like, I think that his place in New York, like, it just must have felt overwhelming. Even like, were there pictures of him with all these people, or just Like, were most of the pictures like with him with people in it? So it was like we're all friends.
Most of it were all his pictures with these people, and obviously later on we would always question because he had pictures with Ghislaine and a little girl, and we would say like, Jeffrey has a family and hasn't told us. And
Oh,
but he didn't, because we
I
didn't
wonder who
know
the
if
little girl was.
he always had a picture with a little girl. There was
Yeah.
one little girl that was all over his house, and we asked him one time like, do you have a wife and a kid? And he's like, absolutely not.
Hmm.
And we just left it on. We didn't want to be like, well, who's that girl in that picture? We were scared. We were scared to
Right,
ask
of
him.
course.
He was nice, but he was intimidating at the same time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so there you are. And so wait, I forgot who introduced you? Like, how did you meet this friend, the girl?
I knew her from already,
Work?
like,
From work?
no, from school. We met through
Oh,
school, through
oh,
friends.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And she was your same age? Like, or is
No,
she a little older?
she was a year older than me.
Okay, okay. So you're there and you can still remember like the first time ever walking in there? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me more. Thank you for sharing all that. I just wanted to back up because when you got to the lotions, I was like, oh my gosh, I
There were
forgot.
other expensive lotions there, which I probably would know the name of it today, but at the time I was just more interested in Victoria's Secret because it was the thing. It was like Victoria's Secret and Baker shoes. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yes, you're so funny. Yeah, the things we were like so into.
I mean, Baker's is no longer around, but a pair
No,
of shoes was like $100, which was like out of this
crazy.
world. It was
Yeah,
like buying a Louis Vuitton, shoe. It
handbag.
was
Yeah,
like,
like
I
yeah,
mean, not a Louis Vuitton, but it was like almost, I would say it would be worth today equivalent to like almost $400 or $500 at the time. It was like
yeah, for
$100 was a
sure.
lot of money, you know. And when we did get there were, all these expensive lotions. I only knew Victoria's Secret, but and he had these clouds on his ceiling, which were like such a nice touch to like the massage room, and like I guess so it was like such a zen place. And he had curtains, on these walls, which later on I found out they were windows, but they were blocked, and he put curtains over them. And he came into the room and he introduced himself, and I said, hi, my name is Marina. He said, hi, I'm Jeffrey, and we shook hands. And he was like, I've heard some great things about you. And I'm like, I looked over to my friend like, oh, you
Okay.
said some nice things about me. Like, you must have told him that like I'm Brazilian, I'm an immigrant, like I'm struggling. But he ended up asking me how old I was, where I was from, and what was like my life like. And I broke down everything to him. I didn't tell him about my stepfather's abuse. I was very embarrassed about that. But I wanted him to know my struggles, that it was just me and my sister and my mom, and that I was, trying to really, be something in America, that I was willing to take any job, and like just really trying my best to make him understand that
I
like I
was super
really.
smart, Raina. I would have done the same thing. I need money. Hey, help me out.
I'm like, hire me as
Yeah,
your maid, anything. Like, can I work here in
yeah,
your house,
seriously. Yeah, for sure.
And he talked to me, and then he got on the phone and he talked on the phone for a little bit. He had a towel over him. At that point, we already had taken our shirts off. Everything was fine. He was so nice. And once he got off the phone, he turned around and then the towel came off. And that's when I was like a little bit like, what's
Mm.
happening here? The girl was across from me that brought me there,
Mhm.
and he asked me to remove my bra, and I told him no. And
Mhm.
he sat back, and then he like went to reach for my boob, and I was like, I put his hand back down, and I was like, I'm not comfortable. And then the girl like across like looked at me like, why are you acting like that? And I was
Mhm.
like frozen. And then she came around to my side, and her and Jeffrey started to really get into some really sexual things, and like so hardcore and so aggressive in a way. Like, not where he was hitting her, it was just like aggressive. And I just stood next to her in such shock because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where the elevator was. It was my first time there. I don't know what this man was capable of. I already had experienced sexual abuse and physical abuse. So the last thing I wanted was to experience that again. And you know he climaxed, and it was over, and he had like a towel to like clean himself up. And that's something that he always did in the future because I obviously learned that afterwards. And I put my shirt back on. She puts her clothes back on. He gives her the $300. He walks out and we walk out. We go in the elevator. We walk outside. And I'm like looking at her and she's like, why did you act like that? I'm like, you didn't tell me this was going to happen. She's like, you would have came anyways because you need the money. I said, maybe I would have, but it would have been nice to know what I was stepping into.
Yeah.
And she's like, listen, Marina. She's like, listen, you're not documented in the United States. You live in Astoria. You and your mother and your sister are going through such a hard time. You've rented out all your rooms, which I had rented out. We had rented out all the rooms. We were living in one bedroom. And she's like, you should just be thankful that I even introduced this guy to you. And you should be thankful that you're making $300. And I was like, I understand, but you were not honest with me. And I don't feel comfortable about all this situation. And she's like, you'll come back to see him. I know you will. And I was like, I won't. And, she sat there a little bit more trying to really groom me as well and make me understand that I was not going to meet anybody better than this person in Astoria, Queens. And I really didn't have a shot in the world. So it's kind of like my mom, again, kind of like putting me down.
Right.
And I think a week or 2 weeks later, she calls me up and she's like, hey, Jeffrey Epstein is in town and he wants to see you. He really likes you. At the time, I think my mom wasn't even working anymore, or the parties, the weddings weren't really going off. We were struggling really hard. I was eating like those cup noodles. Like that's what me and my mom used to eat, and my sister. And we just really were barely paying rent late. My mom would like put 20s into hundreds and like try to, pay for the rent. It was just such a tough time. And I was so vulnerable. And I was like, I'm going to have to go back. Like, I feel like my stepfather going to jail was completely my fault. And I went back to Jeffrey's. And when I went back to Jeffrey's, he wasn't aggressive. He didn't ask me to do anything. He was super nice. And I think that's where I got caught in his world, where he was super nice and I fell for it. And I continued to go back. And every time I went back, it was like little by little, take off your bra. Come on, take off your pants now. Come on, you know me better. Like and it just was such a slow and easy grooming. And next thing you know, it was like he was raping me, which to the point where I even forgot that he had done that. I had another survivor remind me of that because I was in complete shock when I was hearing from the other survivors. So I call up one of my friends who's also a Jane Doe. And I said, oh my God, I'm like, I'm hearing all these stories and you're not going to believe it. Like Jeffrey has raped all these girls. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, Jeffrey raped a whole bunch of girls and I'm just starting to meet them. And she was like, Marina, she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just in shock that I'm hearing this because he never did that to us. And she goes, yes, he did. She's like, as a matter of fact, she was like, he used to pick you up, put you on top of him, and he used to call us in the room, 3 or 4 of us, and used to basically tell us like, this is how you're supposed to satisfy me. This is how you make me happy, and this is what a good girl does. He would use me as a prop in front of all these girls, and I didn't remember that. I don't know how I blanked that out of my head.
No, I think that's totally normal though, Marina. Like that's part of trauma. Is you just pack it away. It's so jarring to the whole sense. How long did that go on, would you say? Like years and years? Like yeah.
17, because at 17 I started to work in a coffee shop. And at that coffee shop, I remember that when I went in, I was walking from the train station. It was a coffee shop bar. It was a Greek coffee shop. And I was walking home and I passed by and it said help wanted. And I just went inside. I was like, I'm like not documented. So I went inside. I was like, I need to work, like anything. And they were like, okay, how old are you? I was like 18 because you have to be 18 to serve alcohol.
Oh, right.
So Yeah, so they hired me. And then when I turned 18, I was still working there. They're like, happy birthday. And in my head, I was like, oh my God, finally I'm 18. So they thought I was 19 until I worked there for like almost 2 years, like 2.5 years. It's funny because I actually seen that boss about 3 years ago here in Florida. We went to a party and we seen each other, and he couldn't even like remember me. And I was like, it's me, Marina. I was like, I worked for you, like as a
Oh
waitress,
my
as
God.
a hostess. And he was like, Marina. And I was like, yeah. I was like, by the way, I was never 18. I was 17 when you hired me. But they never asked for documents. And so when I started working there, I had a really good schedule. I would work sometimes doubles, or I would do like the hostess job, and I would do the waitressing job. I started to bartend there. I learned so many things there. And I'm very happy that they actually hired me not documented. And
Yeah.
they trusted me. They really trusted me a lot. They expanded the place. The place was like such a poppy place to be. Like it was either like a breakfast place, it was a lunch place, and it was like a before going out place dinner. So it had like all these busy times. And working there, I just started to really get mature. I was working around with older people. I was making decent amount of money. I was working on tips, so I was making like a very good amount of money. At that time, I was not living with my mom anymore because when my stepfather got released out of jail, 3 months, he got 6 months in jail, and 3 months after, my mom wanted me to go and meet with my stepfather so that he could apologize to me.
Oh,
And I had to go and meet him, and he apologized to me, and I'm like it doesn't change anything because during the abuse all I wanted was to actually kill him. Obviously that never happened because he's still alive. And but that's how much anger I had on with I had on me with him, like about him. And then 3 months after, she was like, your stepfather's moving back in. And I'm like,
no way.
yeah. And I was like 15 at the time, 15 and a half. And I had a boyfriend at the time who was like 16 and a half, almost 17. And he was from such a good family, like best parents I ever met in my life. Till today, I tell him, like, my God, your parents are the best. They're rock stars. But obviously, he was like, you can't live there. Like, that sounds crazy. So he moved me out of there into an apartment, which the apartment was across the street from my original house where I got abused, which
Oh,
is really crazy. But he took me out of the situation. We ended up moving somewhere else. And of course, he cheated on me because we were young, and I don't blame him. I thank him every day because he really messed up his life. Like he started to sell drugs for me, like just so he can maintain the house. And me working, like seeing Jeffrey, he didn't know that. I never told him. I was working in a different coffee shop at the time, which didn't have the same aspect as this place had. This place had like a nighttime. This place was really just a coffee shop. And if you're from Astoria, like where coffee shops, you just go for a frappe and a cappuccino, and you just sit there all day. And like Greeks love to smoke cigarettes, and they'll be there all day with one coffee. Versus, yeah,
you're so funny, Maria.
it's very true. Greece is the same way. Greece is the same way, sir.
Okay.
So and he really did a lot for me, and I thank him till today. But he cheated on me, so I ended up going back to my house with my mom. But I was like 16 at the time, 16 and a half, and I was like, well, this guy's not gonna mess with me. But my boyfriend, who became my ex-boyfriend, was like, listen, I know like your stepfather is an abuser. Like you can't go back there. Come back to the apartment. I will leave, because I had gotten on my little bicycle to go back home. And so I came back, and he was like, I will leave. I was like, yeah, you need to go. Like you messed up, you cheated on me. And he left. And then I became responsible for that apartment, which was a 3 bedroom and 2 bathroom by myself. So I was like, I need roommates. Like I can't afford, at the time it was like a $1,200 rent, which wasn't a lot for a 3 bedroom, two
Right.
bathroom in
Oh my
Astoria.
gosh.
Yeah.
So,
But it was a lot for me. It was a lot for me. I was 16 and a half living by myself. So I started to get roommates, and a lot of these roommates were girls that came from really, really, and when I say bad homes, I don't mean broken homes in a way where people were divorced. Like these are homes where women were getting abused, or their parents were abusing each other, or there was drug abuse, or they got kicked out, or a lot of these women came from other countries, didn't have anywhere else to stay. And everybody knew that my door was open. I was always renting a room. So these women really came my way. I had men roommates too who were from Brazil, immigrants. And a lot of these women became the women who knew about what was like my world and knew I was going to Jeffrey Epstein's house and had asked, or I had asked. And that's how I ended up having, Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, if anybody knows Jeffrey Epstein's world, you do know that he wasn't the person that was only seeing you. His main goal was for you to bring him other girls. And I think that's something that I myself, I make that very transparent. As a survivor, and we ask for transparency, I think it's very important for us to stay transparent about our stories. I got brought there by another girl. She wasn't very honest with me, but I always felt that if I told somebody what was going on, what was happening, they were struggling, and being honest with them, and if they wanted to go, that was on their own will. And I got, some of these girls, they wanted to go. A lot of these girls asked me, they just knew about it. It was just out in the open, like about Jeffrey Epstein. I feel like all of Astoria already knew that I was seeing somebody that had a lot of money and I was massaging him. And I feel like that, Jeffrey Epstein was a person that if he didn't climax 6 to 8 times a day, it wasn't sufficient for him. Like, I would go there would be a girl coming down, and, he told us he was a brain surgeon. That's even the crazy. I know. I know, because now we could Google everything. You couldn't Google things back then. And I'm going to be honest with you, like at 15, 16, I wasn't interested in like looking at this person and going to the library and like finding out who he was. Because really, I had like a Nokia phone. Like, I don't even know what kind of phone I had. It was like I don't even know what kind of phone I had, but I know it didn't have.
The flip phones?
Do you remember the Sidekick?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the side one.
I bought one because I was like, I gotta, everybody had it. But, you didn't have
That
access
was
to the
the
internet.
fancy one, Marina.
You remember you remember Nextel?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I thought it was so cool. I didn't have one, but I thought it was so cool. And those phones will actually last for a very long time. It's not like, these phones here where you just like, you drop them and that's it. They're done. You got to buy a new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we never researched who this guy was. We just really believed that he was a brain surgeon. And when I used to see girls there, it didn't come to me like that they were young or old. I just thought he had connections with Harvard. He had connections with Yale. Maybe these are students. I don't know anything. I'm just a girl waiting in his office. And he would have a girl coming down. When I would come up and I would be down, there would be another girl waiting. So that's 3 women right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then reading from and seeing what Ghislaine from her documentary, from one of her interviews, like how Jeffrey Epstein had a note from his doctor saying that he had to climax 7 to 8 times a day because it was a health issue. I'm like, that's not a health issue. That's called you're being a pervert, So, I mean, it's a lot, but I think that in the end, a lot of people ask me, like, how do you feel today about all this abuse that you've been through? It seems like you've been abused most of your life. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's not something that I live with today, an everyday basis, because I do like to think that there is life after abuse, and there is life after abuse. And I think I had to come in terms that, like, the reality of it, like if my mom had set some boundaries and was a cheerleader for me and didn't drop me out of high school and ask me where I was getting my money from and didn't blame me so much for my stepfather going to jail, not bringing him back in the house where I had to leave the house, just so many things that I think that being a mom today, I would never do to my daughter. I don't think I would have led that way. So it's not that I blame my mom, but I think my problem here, like my biggest problem was my mom. And I had to cut ties with her, unfortunately. And I think it's been about 1.5 years.
Oh, wow. It's understandable though, Marina. I mean, I guess when you cut the tie with her, did you say it like, Mom, I just don't want you in my life anymore? Or was it just communication stopped?
No, what happened was she was living in my house in Long Island,
Mhm.
and she already had done some things that I didn't like. She was talking about me with my uncle, and my uncle was like a father to me because he paid for my ballet classes, and she just started to say some really mean things about me that were like, oh, well, Marina works at nighttime, and like things that I just didn't want my uncle to find out. Like, I just
Mhm.
seen him like as a dad, and there's certain things that like I just didn't want him to know. And he told me, he was like, are you working at nighttime? Like, are you working at
Mhm.
the night hours? And just asking me like all these things that my mom knew about me. And I got instantly mad. And I just said to her, like, you got to leave my house. Like, you can't be
Mhm.
here and like talking about me, and I'm taking care of you. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I just can't do it.
Our listeners probably want to hear about one thing that we haven't talked about,
Tell me.
for sure. Yeah. So all this braveness, and you're so young, but how, I think a lot of people don't understand what your role has been and how you were brought into the trial part of this.
Hmm.
Can you explain to listeners like what that criminal part was like? How did you get involved? How did they find you? Just a little overview of that. So, in case some of our listeners are like, I want to be able to call someone out, like what's going to happen? Like, what
Yeah.
happened to you? Like, how's it been? Just can you give them an overview of that part?
Yeah, so the FBI came knocking on my door in 2008. And in 2008, when they came, I must have been 19 years old. I
Mm-hmm.
was 18 or 19. I was not really seeing Jeffrey, but however, I always knew his number. So when the FBI came knocking on my door, I immediately was like, no, I don't want to talk to you. And the woman had put her foot on the door. She was like, you're going to talk to me whether you like it or not. And she
Oh.
dropped her card. And when she dropped her card, I called Jeffrey Epstein, and I was like, what's going on? Because I had no idea about West Palm. I didn't know anything what was going on. And
Mm-hmm.
he was like, I called, the secretary, and then he called me back, and I was like, what's happening? Like, why is the FBI at my door? And he was like, don't call me. Don't call the office. I'll have a lawyer call. And I was like, but I have to answer to the FBI. He's like, don't answer to anybody. He's like, the FBI will call you. I mean, the lawyers will call you. So the lawyers called me. I ended up going to see the lawyers. They scared me. I was like, are you guys here to protect me or no? They're like, we're here to protect you. And I was like, obviously not, because I knew Jeffrey Epstein hired them. So now I'm scared to tell these people how much I knew, what I knew about Jeffrey. And I lied to them too, because I knew they weren't going to protect me. And they were like, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to jail. And I was like, how am I going to jail? I was like, I was so young. I never lied to anybody. I never told or forced anybody to go. They're like, you're going to go to jail. And I was like, I'm going to go to jail. I'm not documented. And then one day I walk in the office. They were like, don't worry about it. Go back home. And I went back home. They're like, you don't ever have to worry about it. I never got in touch with Jeffrey Epstein after that day. I was so scared I was so scared. I was like, I never want anything to do with it. 11 years later go by. My mom is living with me at the time. I had my daughter, and the FBI comes knocking on my door, and I wasn't home. And my mom's like, the police is here. I come back in the house. Obviously, the FBI comes and knocks on the door, and they're like, we want to ask you a few questions about Jeffrey Epstein. And I told them to come in, and they sit down and they started to ask me questions. I was like, we can't talk about this over here. My mother's here, my daughter's here. This is not the right time. So they gave me a list of lawyers. They told me to, pick a lawyer. I had spoken to a lawyer. The lawyer was like, listen, we'll tell these people to go away. You don't have to answer crap to them. And I was like, no, no, no. I have to answer them. This is the second time they've come looking for me. I can't run away from this. So I ended up having, I chose Kaplan Hecker at the time, and she ended up helping me. And she helped me with depositions and all that. That's how I became a part of this case.
Wow, that's so interesting, Marina. But it's dragged on now. You must be like, I'm so sick of this. I don't know. Maybe you're like loving it. I guess. How are you feeling now at this moment? Are you tired of
Mm,
all of it, or?
well, I got to do some pretty nice things and experience some pretty cool things. I was the State of the Union. I went to the Pan Bonnie hearing. I'm meeting all these different reps, from Democrats to Republicans. I'm in a different world right now. I absolutely love being around that. Obviously the
Okay.
story is not the best, but I'm learning so much. I think I'm like so educated on politics. And I did not go to school, and it was just something that I picked up on and I became interested in. So I've had a pretty cool experience. It's not something that I feel tired of. It's just something that I had to hear it from Haley Robinson. Like, change doesn't happen overnight.
Very well said, Marina. Like, I think it's like you're built, your hand built, like you built yourself out of all this mess.
We have to shape ourselves into something
Yeah.
positive. We can't live in the past.
No, I love it. I can see how strong, look at your face. You're like, I've got this. Like, I can tell everybody who's boss. I think it, but I think in listening to everything you just shared, I've been like amazed at age like 10, 11. I loved it when you said, I shouldn't be swearing at my mom, but I was. I love it. I think you must have been built for firecracker. Like, you were built strong, Marina.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you could take it. Like, not that you deserved it, but you're like awesome.
God only gives you what you can handle. He wouldn't give you any less. And I think he's given me what I can handle. At the time, I was like, why is this happening to me? And today I completely understand why. It's just to spread the message and to make people aware that this is beyond than just like abuse. There's other things that come with sexual and rape and all that. It's not just that. There's a trauma, there's a healing, there's drug abuse, there's alcohol abuse, there's so much into it. And it's really like, how do you get past that and how do you heal? That's where you got to get to,
Yeah, and I also think other things I took away is like you're running that you're basically like a landlord at 16. And I just love how you call the shots and like took it all in. It's almost like you started learning things a decade before everybody else. So who cares? You skipped all the academic classes. You had the life classes out the wazoo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, that's why I just love listening to your story and like meeting you. It's just really awesome. I can
Thank
see
you.
it. I can see you I want you to go up there on the stand again and give it what for.
Let's see.
I think you're awesome. And I hope our listeners will, and Marina's a little famous right now, right? Or you could say like, okay, Katie, you were on the cover of Time, or Marina's like this. Like, who cares who we are? Like, who cares the face we have? It's like, it's what we did, right? And I love all the stuff you did. And it's like totally different choices that I would have done, but I love every one you made. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like having like an admiration club or the superpowers. Like, I feel like you've got this one set of like, you know how there's like 10 different superpowers? It's like, we need all of this one and we need all of that one and we need some of this one.
Exactly.
So, and they're like uniquely cool, right?
I guess we could say it's uniquely cool,
Yeah, it's like uniquely cool.
My daughter says like, you're such a badass, mom. I'm like, I guess I am.
Gotta love on that.
Yeah.
You gotta love on that. So, and you know what else? I was listening to, I guess, whoever played Sleeping Beauty's mom? No, not Sleeping, Snow White's mom, the actress with the brunette hair. I forget. She has a daughter now. She played Wonder Woman too, I think.
I'm really bad with names. I'm really bad with names and birthdays.
But horrible. The interview was about her daughter seeing her as this wicked witch. But you know what I like is you're not an actress. I'm not an actress. Like, we're the real living thing. We're not the storybook. We're like the real life doll.
This is real life. This is not a hoax, folks.
No, that's what I also really love. It's like, we don't need to be fiction. We're the real deal.
Yes.
So
yes, 100%.
I'm just so happy. I can't wait to like put this out for everyone to hear your strength. And you're very brilliant. Like, all the way. I love how you problem solve, and you're so like convincing. Like, you can see you are able to see through people's fakeness really, really young.
BS.
Yeah, well, I can still see you peeking out underneath the blanket. Like, I love you were naturally feisty and curious. So
I think I was just born like that. Sometimes I wonder, like, where did I learn all these things? Even today, like some of these things that it's just like sometimes I meet somebody instantly, I can know if I'm going to get along with that person or not. I could just go based off of energy and just like, and it's not because I judge a book by its cover, but I can really read somebody right away from the beginning. Like, am I going to get along with you? We are not going to get along. We're just going to be acquaintances. And that's it. And there are people that I'm like, I will absolutely not even say hello to you, and we could be in the same room, and trust me, you will feel the fact that I don't like you, and I don't have to say anything. And then I adore people too, and I listen, I always show respect. You give me respect, I give you respect back, but I don't have to like you. That's just how I feel. I don't have to like everybody. I
No.
have to respect people if they respect me, but I don't have to like everybody. I think that's something that we learn as we get older.
I hope we learn it, but Marina, not all of us learn it. Like I think some people just become in this cycle of people pleasers, like deny themselves, and you're a great role model for that too. Your daughter's
Listen,
gonna be.
I love to people please. I love it. But I feel like I need to match energy. Like if we're not matching, then like we're gonna have to break up. We're gonna break up.
I love
You
it.
know?
Well,
Yeah.
I just adore. I loved the whole talk with you. You're so. I also really appreciate your attention to detail, Marina, and thank you for how you describe different things. You have a like superpower on that too, which is like you're naturally just so talented. So thank
Yeah, I
you.
like to be detailed on everything. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I
Yeah.
can't wait for people to listen to
Wait
this
till
and
you. Yeah. If you don't like listening to yourself, just know other people will love it.
Okay, yeah, because I don't like listening to myself. You're right, though. I feel like I sound weird.
Me too. Same deal. So I don't ever
Yeah.
listen to myself. I don't write a speech. I don't look in the mirror.
I feel like when I write a speech, I don't even practice it because if I start to practice, I start to think it's bad, so I just go and do it.
100% same.
Yeah.
Don't give me a script. Don't make me memorize anything. You
Me neither, because I'll start going along. I'll start
Yeah,
adding
well, I'll
on.
get tripped up. I'm like, did I say that wrong? Like, I'd rather just be me.
Do I sound weird?
You sound great. You
No,
sound
like
great.
asking, like, do I sound weird? Does this sound right? Does this sound like this? Yeah, I know. We start to
No.
question ourselves. 100%.
Yeah. No, just go with it. I say just go with it.
I'm definitely going with it. Since September, I'm fully going with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, such a pleasure.
That's just how it is now.
Well, I hope I
You
get
know?
to see you again, Marina, and maybe we'll be on the stage together somewhere.
I would love that. That would be such an
Yeah.
honor.
It would be cool. Maybe they'll put together a panelist of us feisty.
And I'll
pleasure.
do the ballet part, and you can do the piano part.
I can do the piano or the clarinet part.
Perfect. I still know how to
Just
dance
don't make
ballet.
me sing or do cartwheels.
I can't do cartwheels. I just did one today with Victoria, my daughter, on the trampoline, and it was a total fail. I
just
thought
can't
I could do
figure
it.
out.
No, my legs are like, my daughter is like a cheerleader, so she's like
Oh.
all flexible. And when I did it, I was like, I thought I could do a cartwheel. I was like, it's been too long. Forget
No.
about it. Forget
All
about
good.
it. Yeah.
All
yeah.
right. Well, have a great rest of your weekend. And
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Take care. Keep being yourself.
Take care and protect
All
your
right.
peace.
Bye. And to our listeners, keep writing that journal. And until we meet
Yes.
again, thrive, survive, and be brave, be bold. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Dear Katie. These conversations are never easy, but they're always necessary, and we're so grateful you chose to share this space with us. If something in today's episode stirred something within you, please give yourself what you need. Whether that's rest, support, or just a deep breath, you're not alone. To hear more stories, resources, and survivor-centered conversations, be sure to subscribe and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We want to hear from you, so please leave us a review and share your feedback. Your thoughts help us create episodes that resonate with listeners. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.